Africa's fifth democratic election, one many say is the most historic since we cast our votes in 1994. Welcome to it. This is the SABC special elections broadcast coming to you live from the IEC Results Operations Center in Pretoria. We're giving you real-time action on SABC2, SABC International. And if you're following us on Twitter, it is SABC News Online, and my name is Tembisa Machele.
Thanks very much, Tembisa. Good afternoon. I'm Devin Murrigan. So a very pleased IEC addressing the media here in Pretoria about an hour ago. We'll give you some details in a moment as to what they said. Of course, analysts also here this afternoon. Well, just going back to the IEC, saying that there were isolated instances of delays, late arrival of staff and materials across some areas, some protest action in Maroleng, in Limpopo, because of facilities, etc. Gugulethu, another hotspot in the East Rand, Barcelona in the Cape, but almost throughout the country, voting has been proceeding smoothly.
So what's going to happen over the next 3 hours is what's been happening throughout the day today, Devon, and that is we are going to be joined by analysts who are going to be giving us their thoughts on what they think of the way that voting is going today in South Africa. And one of those is Dr. Kwandiwe Kondlo, who is with the University of Johannesburg, a professor there who's going to be giving us his thoughts very shortly. Welcome, Dr. Kondlo.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I think what we'll do now is, as we will do for the rest of the next 3 hours, move through some of the various voting stations and IEC centres across the country. From there, what will happen is that we'll get to the various voting stations and find out exactly how voting has been transpiring through the afternoon. But let's get straight into some of your remarks. Prof, it's been 5 hours since we've been into voting. What's your impression so far? I would imagine rather smooth than we anticipated.
Very smooth than we anticipated, and basically one might interpret it to mean that it actually shows the commitment by South Africans to have a functioning democracy. Despite all the problems that we have, we really want our country to work. I think that's the message one could get out of what is happening. Yes.
Just looking over the 5 hours, I mean, we heard some reports earlier saying, some stations opened a little later than anticipated, that voter turnout in some is still not as great as what was hoped for. Is it too early to start being concerned about that kind of stuff, or should we really be concerned that we're not seeing the kind of numbers that we were hoping for?
Well, one hopes that, look, the day is not late. One hopes that people will come in the afternoon. And as you know, there are South Africans who like to come at the last hour.
Yeah.
You'll see other people coming around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Or just before 9 o'clock.
Or just before 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
One still hopes that people are going to come.
The IEC had fielded a question earlier this morning about youth voting, and there were some concerns raised that you just do not see that many young people in the queues. They responded by saying exactly what you suggested. Perhaps when they look and compare with other previous elections, the younger crowd tend to come through in the afternoons and later in the evenings.
Yes.
Do you go along with that?
Yes, I would go along with that. I'm still very optimistic, actually, that there's going to be a very big show out. People are going to come and vote, yes. But we will need to monitor it as the day progresses.
Just on the back of that, Dr. Kondlo, looking at the young people, those that are termed the born frees, I know most of them hate that term, but it is significant that many of them are going to be voting for the first time in these elections. Judging by the numbers at registration and what we're expecting to see today, just talk to us a little bit about the significance of that vote.
Well, I call it the youth vote. The youth vote is very significant, especially for this democracy. Looking at statistics on youth unemployment, looking at the dropout rate at matric level. So I think the voice of the youth is going to be very important in this particular vote. But of course, you find that there are certain youths who actually find the whole thing so boring because they feel it doesn't talk to some of their more immediate concerns.
Is that dangerous, though? Because if you look forward to 2019, and if you indeed have that apathy now, it kind of suggests what type of interest we'll have in the next election. Is that not fearful for you?
Yes, it is fearful, but it also underlines the importance really of political education. Not only at university, but in the community, so that people understand the value of vote, understand the importance of reading the manifestos of the various political parties.
Just on that, Prof, what do you think is going to sway it? I mean, just judging from the action and the activity on social media, a lot of these young people saying, we're not sure who to vote for, and listening to some of the analysts saying, you know, the fact that we were liberated by a certain party in South Africa is not really that important for this constituency. What would be the clincher, do you think, for any political party wanting to get that vote?
I think the most important thing for political parties is that they must not wake up 1 year before the election and start talking to the youth. We need to see a concerted effort from after these elections, clear youth programs, clear interventions, and especially the issue of political education.
But what are the issues, do you think? Because if you look at the manifestos of all of these political parties, they're all talking about job creation, they're all talking about, you know, boosting the economy, all of these key things that are key to all of us. But particularly for the youth vote, what do you think are the key issues that they will be looking out for?
Well, I think the key issues, especially for some of the youth in South Africa, is youth entrepreneurship. You see. I say this because I'm working closely with NAFCOC now, and the issue of youth entrepreneurship as a priority, it seems to be emerging as a very important issue. Some youth want to go into business. They want to create their own businesses, employ other youth and employ other people. They want to contribute to unemployment. And really, I think some of these issues, we've not carefully underlined them, and also giving the youth space, a voice in the public participation institutions and models that we have developed all over the country.
Prof, let's just shift some focus now on the actual proceedings from this morning up until now. We've seen the IEC tell us that relatively and holistically speaking, procedures, operations were somewhat smooth. I want to talk about the hot spots envisaged prior to this election. I mean, we have places like Bekkersdal that experienced some violence, Sterkspruit in the Eastern Cape. One would have thought, and I would have imagined, that it could have been more restive than it actually was. What's your view on how it actually turned out this morning?
Well, I think the influence of community structures, community policing forums, local authorities has actually contributed to the kind of stability that we're seeing today. Otherwise, I must say I had serious fears that there's going to be a lot of chaos in this particular election, given the context of what I call popular dissatisfaction that you're seeing in the country. Because the difference with this election is that, yes, I still think the ruling party, the ANC, is going to win. But it's winning over a majority characterized by serious dissatisfaction. Hence, after the election, when the new government takes over, a more practical agenda around how they deal with backlogs, service delivery issues affecting communities is going to be so important for the ANC.
I want to talk about those strategies when we do come back. A lot to talk about, but let's just find out now